Allow me to introduce myself. I am Purple Husky Man. So, Dance Pants. It was a bit of a mess, to be honest. I mean, it wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't bad. I'd even say it was good, but just sort of all over the place. Now let's talk about this. Our plot. The girls become obsessed with a video game entitled Dance Pants Revolution. Then Mojo Jojo uses this to an advantage and creates a game that looks similar to that entitled Dance Pants Revolution 2. They think that this is the sequel, so they get interested in it only to be sucked into one of Mojo's evil plans. Well, let's get a positive out of the way first. The animation is brilliant, absolutely fantastic. This was a pleasure to look at all the way through. It's such a distinct style, and I haven't seen anything quite like it before. I really love what they did with the art style for this. However, sometimes I'll admit the animation style can be a bit, distracting, but, other than that, it is good. Also, it does capture the humor pretty well most of the time, and the characters, it captures them well most of the time, So yeah, most of the time it stays pretty true to its source material. As I mentioned, most of the time. Like, for example, there's this one scene where Bubbles is, extremely out of character, where they're about to save the world, Blossom and Buttercup are, and Bubbles is like, you guys can go without me, I'm going to play one more level, or something like that. I'm sorry if I don't remember the exact line, guys, you're counting on me way too much. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, so it's basically, she's totally blowing the girls off, just so she can play a video game. I mean, I get that the video game, they're supposed to be obsessed with it, but you're a superhero. I mean, I get you're a kindergarten, so maybe they were trying to portray the Powerpuff Girls more realistic, because now to come to think of it, they kind of act a little bit more like kindergartners here than they did in the old show. Like, for example, there's one scene where they sort of throw a tantrum, and yeah, just stuff like that. So I guess maybe it's supposed to be more of a realistic kindergartner thing, but I don't know. I just didn't really appreciate Bubbles not wanting to save the world just because she wanted to be a level of video. And Mojo. Now, Mojo, throughout a majority of the special, was in character, but at the end, with that whole softball team thing, what was that? Is Mojo Jojo really that stupid? I know that Mojo Jojo wasn't always the brightest crayon in the box, okay, guys? I'm not saying that Mojo Jojo is a super genius, because I know that he wasn't, but that just seems a bit too stupid, even for him. Speaking of characters, Ringo Starr had a nice little character in this special. He's sort of like a little flamboyant mathematician. They had some good math jokes going on with that. Pretty good stuff. Not much to say. One problem I also have with this special is the continuity errors. There are some little small ones. They talk about how the professor, didn't start, wasn't into the science in college, and he was in a dance crew, when in that one episode, we see that, the professor was in fact a scientist in college, because he had his lab professor, Dick Hardley. So there's that. There's just sort of little small things like that. But then there's also the huge discontinuity. I know that everybody has talked about this who's seen the special, but Blossom has freeze breath, not Bubbles, and it may just seem like a little rant, nitpick type thing, but it's been a established part of the show, and for them to change it like that, there was no purpose to change it. They could have, I don't know, maybe there is a purpose behind it, but it just didn't make sense to me why they had to change that. Also, a couple of the jokes fall a little flat. For example, the whole thing at the beginning where Buttercup's like, what does he think we are, kindergartners? And the Rebels is like, yeah, we are. It just felt a bit forced for that part. But, I mean, most of the time the humor is pretty funny. Finally, the pacing's a bit awkward sometimes. With the girls turning evil, that felt a bit rushed. And then the ending felt kind of rushed, as I previously mentioned, with the whole softball thing. That felt really rushed, like just for no reason. And yeah, so there was some moments where the pacing could have improved. Well, in conclusion, this special was pretty middle of the road for me. It had some moments that I liked, but it also had some moments that I think needed some major improvements. I say, if you're interested, give it a watch and see what you think.